গুড ইভিনিং এভরিওয়ান। আশা করছি তোমরা পোয়েমটা পড়ে নিয়েছো। টু আ স্কাইলার্ক রিটেন বাই পিবি শেলি। এই পোয়েমটা আশা করছি তোমরা সবাই পড়ে নিয়েছো। যদি পড়ে নিয়েছো তাহলে পরবর্তী যে 50 MCQ আছে সেটা দেখতে পারো। যদি পড়োনি এখনও তাহলে আমি একটু ছোট্ট এক্সপ্লেন করে দিচ্ছি, ছোট্ট সামারি বলে দিচ্ছি এই কবিতাটা নিয়ে। টু আ স্কাইলার্ক, it is written in 1820 and the form of the poem is lyric poem. It is about 105 lines and it is written in 21 stanzas. Rhyme scheme of the poem is AB ABB in each stanza. In this poem, the central theme of this poem is Shelley celebrates the skylark as a symbol of pure joy, divine inspiration, and ideal poetic expression. Unlike humans, the bird sings spontaneously, without sorrow, ambition, or fear, things that limit human happiness. If I say about the stanza-wise summary of the poem or highlights or the important things for the exam, so the first stanza to fifth stanza in the poem, the skylark rises from the earth and soars like a cloud of fire. It becomes invisible in the sky, but its song continues, echoing through the air. The poet marvels at its unseen beauty and calls it a blithe spirit, not just a bird. Stanza 6 to 10, Shelley compares the skylark music to a star in daylight, visible only through its effect. Heavenly rain, refreshing flowers, a glow worm hidden in the grass. The skylark unseen presence makes its song even more mysterious and magical. Stanza 11 to 16. Shelley wonders what the skylark sings of: love, nature, or freedom, or joy. He believes that the bird's happiness must come from ignorance of pain, death, and failure, unlike humans. Stanza 17 to 21. Human joy is always mixed with sorrow. We remember pain even while being happy. The skylark song is purer and more inspiring. Than all books or philosophies. Shelley ends by begging the skylark to teach him its song so he too can spread joy through poetry. In this poem, the poetic device used here, apostrophe, hail to thee, blithe spirit, the first line of the poem, and it is a direct address to the bird. Simile, like a star of heaven, vivid comparison. Metaphor, cloud of fire, describes its rise with energy. Alliteration, sunken sun, musical effect. Imagery, flowers, stars, moonlight, clouds, appeals to senses. Symbolism, skylark, pure joy and poetic inspiration. Hail to the blithe spirit, famous line, better than all measures of delightful sounds. Our sincerest laughter with some pain. Teach me half the gladness that thy brain must know. So these are the important quotes from the poem, and key ideas for the exam is celebration of nature, skylark as a divine force beyond physical sight. Human limitation, bird's joy. Humans suffer and doubt. The bird lives in eternal joy. Shelley believes true poetry must come from purity of emotion, like the skylark song. Tone, uplifting, joyful. Skylark, joy, inspiration, focus, poetic inspiration, freedom. Attitude of the poem is optimistic idealism. Now we will practice the MCQ part. So first question from this poem can be asked as, who is the poet of the poem To a Skylark? It's a very easy, I think all of you can answer. So its answer is P.B. Shelley. P.B. Shelley. Option C, P.B. Shelley. Next question is, what kind of poem is To a Skylark? It is a dramatic monologue, it is a ode, it is a sonnet, it is a ballad. Sonnet, definitely not sonnet, because sonnet is about 14 lines, so sonnet will not be the correct answer. The correct answer here, it is a ode. What is the Skylark? What is the Skylark? In the poem, primarily symbol of. The Skylark is a symbol of what? It is a symbol of. It is a symbol of pure joy and inspiration. The opening line of the poem is, this one is the opening line, Hail to thee, blithe spirit. What does blithe spirit mean? What does blithe spirit means? So it means joyful spirit. Shelley compares the Skylark song to unpremeditated, that means which is not decided. The bird is hidden in the light of thought, that means light of thought. Merged with imagination. The poem primarily uses which poetic device in this poem? So here extended metaphor is used in the poem. What does Shelley say? That the Skylark is like a cloud of fire in sunset. Option B. The Skylark is described as pouring its heart, flood of rapture. Higher still and higher indicates the bird's rising flight. Option B. Shrill delight is an example of oxymoron. How many stanzas are there in To a Skylark? 21 stanza is there. 21. What is the Shelley's attitude towards the bird? Envious and admiring. Option C. Shelley compares the Skylark to a, all of the above. Star, poet, made in a tower, all of them. What does the poet not compare to the Skylark? Option D, rainbow. As unbodied joy refers to the Skylark voice. Option C. The Skylark is a song called unpremeditated art. Which human motion does the poet not attribute to the Skylark? Boredom. What does Shelley wish to learn from the Skylark? The secret perfect joy. What would Shelley do if he could learn from the Skylark? Compose Compose a song that would make the world listen. The skylark is compared to a rose embroidered to represent mystery and beauty. Mystery and beauty. What is the meter of a tour like to skylark? Iambic pentameter, option A. Like a glowworm, golden is an example of option A, symbol. It's a simile. What romantic traits is most evident of the poem? Worship of nature and imagination. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thoughts. It's an example of paradox. The skylark is not described as artificial. It is described as natural. What does Shelley associate human love with? Pain and disappointment. The skylark voice is the best described as flood of joy. What kind of imagery is dominant in the poem? It's a whispering. What kind of imagery dominant in the poem? And visual and auditory. What is the rhyme scheme of the stanzas? A B A B B. Which quality of the skylark does Shelley most admire? Freedom from sorrow. Shelley describes the skylark flight as upward and disappearing. What is the skylark considered superior to man? It knows only joy, not sorrow. Which two emotion dominates Shelley's tone? Admiration and envy. What is the skylark is doing while flying? Singing. How is the skylark's flight linked to its song? The higher it flies, the sweeter the song. The poem was written in 1820. The poem is addressed to the skylark. The phrase harmonious madness means poetic inspiration. What is the meant by scorner of the ground? The bird prefers air and heaven to earth. What does the poet envy in the skylark? It's a constant joy. The skylark invisibility suggests mystery of beauty. Thou lovest in the poem refers the bird. The final wish of the poet is to write a poetry inspired by the skylark's joy. What limits human happiness according to the poem? Option C, sorrow and fear. How does Shelley describe the joy? Skylark's joy. It's a overflowing divine. The poet says the bird's knowledge is pure and ideal. The skylark is invisible but loud and shining. To Skylark expresses Shelley's belief that nature can heal humanity through inspiration.